Jaybird, friend and family in the combatant nation. As you saw from the thumbnail, the question of the day is more scope. More scope. What does that mean? Well, when I say more scope, I'm talking about magnification versus what you have now, or what people refer to as power. Okay. So if you have a 2 to 7 magnification scope, you can go from 2 times magnification to 7 times magnification. But we're getting a bigger scope, one that goes from 4 power to 12 power, or 4 times magnification to 12 times magnification. Will this make you a better shooter? Go ahead, drop down in the comments and just put the word yes or the word no. This is the only question in this video that I'm going to ask you to answer, because I'm noticing a trend. When I say a trend, I mean a trend, okay? So people that are running, let's say, a 16 to 20 inch AR-15 platform, they're shooting on the range. Maybe they're shooting at the average number I've been given lately, and everybody's application will be different. I understand that. Is 200 to 300 yards. 200 to 300 yards. Okay, so let's put that in perspective. Everything that an American male can measure with is a football field. One of the things we learn in the military is estimating distance. Everybody knows a football field is 100 yards. If you can mentally picture a football field, 200 to 300 yards is 2 to 3 football fields. Now that sounds like a whole lot, but that's where your scope comes in, and that's where your magnification comes in. And that is where I'm noticing a trend of people overemphasizing magnification and objective lens dimension with their inability to properly apply the basic fundamentals of marksmanship. And I've got a shade and grin because I'm guilty of this too. Everybody wants the biggest, the baddest, the bestest, the goodest, whatever you want to say, okay? But if you have a Ferrari, but you can't drive, is it still a Ferrari? Well, it's a Ferrari, but it's not going to perform like a Ferrari. That's the point. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I have gotten myself into a pickle with one of my personal rifles where I just decided that bigger and badder glass was going to be the answer. And I caught myself. And I caught myself neglecting my basic fundamentals and leaving basic principles that work. Iron sights, scope, doesn't matter. The center of the target. If it's big or if it's small, do you know what never changes? The center of the target is the center of the daggone target. Now, what I found myself doing is the more I magnified things, it made a couple of things easier. I could see where my bullet went. Yay! Now I can see the hole I put in the paper, because if I don't get a look at that immediately after firing the round, it's going to disappear. False. Okay. If I make the target bigger, it will be easier to find the center. My opinion of my results, no, not so. But it's cool to tell everybody I got a Night Force scope, but I can't hit the broadside of a barn from the inside. Oh, no, that's not cool. It's cool to tell somebody you got a Night Force scope. It just makes you look like a big deal. Okay, cool. But what if a guy had a LPVO, a little lowly 1 to 6 by 24? Can you make those same shots at 200 and 300 yards that the guy with the 4 to 12 Leupold can? Absolutely you can. And it's all back to the basic fundamentals. So, if I'm applying sight alignment, sight picture, and this is where everybody goes, but it's a scope, there's no sights. Nay. Your crosshairs are still your sight. Your reticle is still your sight. Personally, I don't care what you say about this one. You're still using them as a sighting tool the same way you use your sights. Okay, I think we can all agree on that one. But if I'm focusing on the center of my crosshair and placing the center or the center of my reticle, and I place that on the center of the target, it doesn't change. Whether I bring that target closer and bigger or further away and smaller, the center of that target didn't change. Now, if I can apply proper fundamentals, good solid rest, Get the weapon as steady and sturdy as possible. Sandbags, whatever you want to do if you're shooting off the bench, a bench rest, your bipod, whatever. If I can take as much of my interaction out of that rifle and now just line things up where they need to be and let the rifle do the job, it will do the job. Exactly. But there's an actuator switch. The trigger. Okay. So a nice steady press on the trigger without manipulating the crosshairs, we're back to the definition of accuracy. Being able to press the trigger without manipulating the sights off target. Perfect. But if I have all this extra glass and I'm focusing on the reticle inadvertently, I find myself, and this is probably true for a lot of people, looking past my reticle now and concentrating on the target that's 200 or 300 yards away. I'm concentrating on the target. I'm not concentrating on the reticle. Maybe I skip getting my natural point of aim, take a couple seconds, close my eyes, take that extra breath, come back, get in the glass. Oh, shit, I'm 3 inches to the right. Rather than muscling the weapon over and going that way, because the minute I go back to resting on that reticle on the center of the target, your body will shift back where it was. Inadvertently, it's going to happen. So now, here I am. I've got this big sight picture. The target is all I can see. The reticle is really huge. I've got it all lined up, and I'm looking at the target. I fire the round, and it's 2 inches to the left. Damn, but I was guaranteed center. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. So what I find is that bringing the magnification down to the level where I can identify the target, identify the center of said target, apply my fundamentals, I'm getting the rounds down there. I think a lot of people are more hooked up on equipment rather than skills. And this is where most people decide that they need more magnification or more scope. I just want to put this out because I see lots of people coming in talking about they want to buy a scope and they look at a 2-7. No, it's not enough. Well, how far do you want to shoot? Oh, 200 to 300 yards. That's plenty of scope. Do you have the ability to shoot 200 or 300 yards? Do you possess the basic fundamentals to shoot 200 to 300 yards? Is your weapon capable, or your firearm capable of consistent, we'll get to that in a second, consistent placement of rounds at 200 to 300 yards? Well, then you just need adequate glass. And I realize there are segments of this, people's vision, correctable vision, uncorrected vision, stigmatisms, all of that stuff. I'm just trying to say, and I shouldn't do this, as a small firearm shop owner, I shouldn't tell you that you can probably correct yourself and not buy that $700-800 piece of glass or more. I should just let my customers run around and do what they want to do, right? Exactly. I'm not going to stop you from doing it. I might ask you a couple questions. Shit, I will even go shoot with you. I don't care. Point being is consistency. If you're not consistently applying the fundamentals and your firearm is not capable of consistently putting the rounds in the same spot every time or within a measurable, acceptable area, if you don't have these things consistent, I don't care how much glass you buy. I don't think you're going to get the results you want by buying more equipment to fix your issue. So, not a rant. Just, I wanted to put this out there because I have seen in the past month at least a dozen people feeling or thinking or saying that they need more glass because they're not getting the results that they want out of their rifle. Some of these rifles are extremely capable, far more capable than my abilities and the abilities, unfortunately, of the people who own them, and they're not getting that full potential because they're not applying the correct fundamentals. We're back to that Ferrari. Guy's got a Ferrari but can't drive a stick shift. Fuck. He's got a Ferrari, but he doesn't know how to use it. He's a cool guy. Got a Night Force 6 to 25 by 50. Doesn't understand the basic fundamentals. You can't apply it. That Night Force, might as well have an NC Star 3 to 9 because if you can't use it, it doesn't matter. Take a minute. Think about this. Before you run out and buy more glass, are your fundamentals tight? And if you're not getting consistent at 200, sit down. Order the humble pie, get a glass of milk, get a fork, choke it down, be real with yourself, move back to 100. And if you're still sucking at 100 and not getting the results you want, have a second serving of that humble pie, drop back to the 50 until you get consistency and or accuracy and consistency, there's no need to try to shoot further. The only people you're impressing is ammo manufacturers and the guy that's selling it to you, because you're coming back to get a lot of it. So that, Combatant Nation, A-Bird Freedom Fam, is today's little public service announcement, you might say. Not a rant, just let's stop and think about what the hell we're doing. Because if you can't drive the nail, doesn't mean you need a bigger hammer. That's all I got for today. As always, everybody stay safe, hydrate.